Hey guys, Roman Reaper here, just back with a quick little review for you. So, I just got done watching Tetris on Apple TV Plus. This is a film inspired by the true story of the of how Nintendo got the license to the Tetris video game. And given that it's in a Cold War background, it sounds really interesting. I am generally fascinated in Cold War stories because I studied it for GCSE history. And it has the natural charm of Taron Egerton as its lead, so surely this should be a good time, right? Let's find out. In 1988, American businessman Hank Rogers chances upon a hot new video game called Tetris while trying to sell a different game at a consumer electronics convention. And Hank sees how loved this game is and has a golden opportunity in mind to secure the rights to this game in Japan on behalf of Nintendo. However, it's not as easy as it seems, because also trying to secure the rights for themselves are Robert and Kevin Maxwell at Mirrorsoft, and the the iron fist that is the Soviet Union's communist rule. So yeah, this is a fascinating story, and as I said, I am very interested in sort of Cold War espionage type stories. A really good one I'd recommend is The Courier, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a cracking espionage thriller. And I gotta say, Tetris is also a really damn entertaining film. Like, it's a lot more fun than you'd expect a film about guys in suits negotiating contracts in grey rooms to be, but goddamn, they pull it off big time. And not least because of the fascinating backdrop of the story. This is like set as the Soviet Union is beginning to crumble. So it makes for a really interesting story, and with all these different players involved, obviously you've got Hank Rogers, you've got Mirrorsoft, you've got Robert Stein, the guy that initially licensed the console and PC rights, and also the game's creator, Alexei Pajitnov. And the opening minutes do a really good job of establishing all these key players through 8-bit animations. Admittedly, it does take a little bit to find its footing because of all of this. Shifting to different perspectives to set the story up. But once it does, it is a blast. And this is because of how fascinating the story is. Like, as part of it, there's a really thrilling, like, will they, won't they, and will they, won't they, as in, will they, won't they get caught up between Hank and Alexei as their budding friendship grows. Yeah, as Hank heads to Russia to secure the game's rights, and there's also the mustache twirling Robert Maxwell, trying to secure the rights himself. Yeah, it's all very entertaining, and it helps that the film has a real sense of energy and style. Like, cinematography wise, it's pretty rock solid. But the film's stylistic flourish of choice, which works so well, is the decision to have portions of the film appear as 8-bit graphics. So, like, scene transitions and pieces of important plot information will, like, appear in the form of these little 8-bit animations. It's a really neat stylistic flourish. It works really well for the vibe the film is going for, and it's accompanied really nicely by a super fun synth score from Lauren Balfe. Like, for for real, like Lauren Bacall just doesn't miss. Like, and there's also some fun little needle drops of the period. Notably a really funny sequence with the final countdown, and also a Russian cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass, and both Japanese and Russian versions of I Need a Hero. So, and this that song seems to be having a bit of a moment because it was in Fury of the Gods as well. So you wouldn't know that though, because you probably haven't seen Fury of the Gods. No one has, but so so the film has real energy and real style to it, as well as this like complex and tense story, full of full of plotting, scheming, and paranoia. And it also has a sense of humor, surprisingly. Admittedly, it takes a little bit comedy wise to sort of properly find its groove, and it never quite hits a consistently high note. Considering this is like a fairly straight thriller, that's understandable. But I will admit there are plenty of really good jokes here. But really, none of this would be complete if it wasn't for the performances. Like you got Toby Jones as Robert Stein, the guy that initially licensed the console and PC rights. He's really good here doing a sort of vague, nondescript European accent, and perfectly sells that sort of frustration as Stein is repeatedly getting screwed over from both sides, from both Mirrorsoft and Rogers. And speaking of Mirrorsoft, they're a really entertaining pair as well. Like Anthony Boyle as Kevin is really good. He's like sort of trying to keep himself like at least giving the illusion of appearing honest and straight laced, and in an industry of corruption and bribery with the Soviet Union. But god damn it, Roger Allen as Robert Maxwell is such a delight. Like he's giving this really entertaining, like scheming, mustache twirling villain performance under heavy layers of prosthetics, and a makeup performance is a tightrope act to walk, and this could easily have gone like Jared Leto, House of Gucci levels of over the top, but he makes it work, and instead his performance feels more in line with something like Colin Farrell as Penguin in The Batman. He's a lot of fun. But really, none of this would be complete without the magnetic charm that is Taron Egerton. He's so good here. He's a properly fascinating character, Hank Rogers, and Egerton sells it so well. Obviously, he oozes charm, but he also oozes intensity, paranoia, and he's so good at it. Like one minute, he'll go from being like really charming with his wife and kids, and even with Alexei, to living in fear of what the Soviet Union might do to him because of his quest. It is fantastic. Admittedly, there is sort of a subplot involving Hank's daughter's school performance that feels kind of mawkish and a bit out of place. It's not very much. It's not fully realized as the film would like to be, but whatever. It's it's fairly insignificant. Obviously, the Social Network was brought up as a point of comparison when this film was being discussed. You don't invoke that film lightly, but obviously this is entertaining and it is a genuinely fun film, but it's nowhere near as good as The Social Network. That goes without saying. But yeah, Tetris, I had a blast with this. This was a really entertaining film. Obviously, it takes a little bit to find its footing, and never quite hits a consistent comedic high. And there is a sort of vaguely mawkish, out of place subplot aside. This is a super fascinating, complex thriller. It's genuinely riveting to watch, and carried along nicely by a set of great performances and some real fun stylistic flourishes that give it a genuine sense of energy. Oh, and it is also pretty funny as well. So overall, I'm gonna give Tetris a 7.5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Tetris? What do you think of it? Are you fascinated by this true story? And are you fascinated by Cold War stories in general? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.